Hi, everybody. Good morning. And it's a foggy day here in my yard, which is very cool. I love how fog makes things really magical. It takes the ordinary and, the commonplace, and it puts a little bit of a mist around it. If you're familiar with your musicals like I am, then it's kind of like Brigadoon. When it's a foggy day, sure, it's dangerous when driving. Hey, Jenny, nice to see you. But when you look around you, it just adds a little bit of magic to the world. And Mary Kate's here too, and Camilla's. Very cool. Some really great new faces. I'm glad you showed up today. So I'm Rita Hickman, body mind expert, shiatsu massage therapist. Hey, Jackie. And I specialize in being a women's burnout coach, which means that I take all those parts and pieces about our nervous system and Eastern medicine and our subconscious and indigenous medicines, and I help women stop burnout, stop from burning out or recover after they've had burnout. So we've been kind of talking about failure all week because it seems to be on people's minds. And so I really want to address how I've been able to deal with failure. When I grew up, I thought that I needed to be perfect because if I wasn't perfect, then the world was a very scary place. It was the only tool I had, get good grades, know how to get along, don't cause trouble, be a perfect girl. But the problem with that is that you can't be perfect. It doesn't exist. So over the years, I've learned and studied and experimented and gone into the trenches. And one of the main things I've learned is that failure, most of the things that you do, you're going to fail at. Most of the things that you try, let's say 90% of them will be a failure. If you put out 10 different ads, only one of them's going to do well. So you better put out at least 10 so you can get an idea of what's working and what doesn't. And, with these minor little tweaks here and there. And the same is true for the rest of life. So failure, for the most part, doesn't bother me. I've had good moments, I've had bad moments, I've had where things seemed like they would fall apart, and other times when everything was running smoothly. But every so often, I invite people into my life that challenge me, and what they do is they give me new experiences. And when I have these new experiences and I don't go in with the right mindset, let's say it's really important to me. Let's say I'm working on my issues around boundaries, or self-respect or self-love. Let's say I'm working on some of those issues. And when I do, they're really important. And when I fail, it brings up all of those emotions from my entire life. So there are some things that mean so much to me that failure is a really big deal. So how do I recover from this? Clearly I'm an entrepreneur who's, owned her own business for 10 years. I've overcome, for the most part, childhood PTSD. I've had narcissistic people in my life. I've been married for, or at least with my spouse for about 26 years. So, I've had to deal with a lot of big, unexpected, meaningful failures in my life. And they'll still happen, they'll still occur. So when that happens, when you feel like nothing's ever going to get better and the world has come to an end, and why should you bother? Because you must be broken and it's never going to work. And if you're not broken, then the rest of the world must be broken and there's nothing we can do. I get a lot of women who walk into my office feeling this way, feeling like failures in life and failures in their marriage or their job or with their kids. They've tried everything that they know to try, and now they are wiped out. There's nothing left, and they've accepted the fact that they are a failure, and now they're just kind of staring at a wall, thinking that the world has come to an end. And I know exactly what that feels like. And me being a body-mind expert, it means I've got some amazing tools and I know the process to get yourself out of it and how to find hope again, how to believe in hope again after you've been, after you've failed, hundreds of times and thousands of times, and you've done everything that you've tried and you listen to everybody's advice and nothing has worked and you haven't moved forward. Hey, Lillian. You know, how do you move forward again and believe in magic, you know, like this foggy day or the impossible? How do you have that hope when you've sort of lost it, when it's kind of been beaten out of you? So the first thing that we do when someone walks in my door and that's where they're at is I give them a safe place to just be. You know, when you feel like you're a failure, these are feelings not just based on your whole life, but based on the experiences of your parents and their parents and their parents. These are things and memories and emotions that have been passed down. So when you feel this punch in the face, you know, emotionally, and just like you're stopped in your tracks because you've tried everything, when you feel that way, it's not just this moment. So don't beat yourself up for why can't I just get over this? Why isn't this big a deal? Why can't I just get up and get back up on the horse? Because there's a lot of feelings that need to be moved. And this failure is that opportunity. It's the doorway for moving them. It allowed you to tap into those feelings, and this is the opportunity you have to move this negativity and this anger and this hurt out of your body and out of your consciousness so it stops controlling you. So the first thing we do is make a safe space. You know, we put on good music, we get a cup of tea, we sit down in a comfortable chair in beautiful surroundings, and we have a space, we create a space where you can feel without shame or judgment. So if you're feeling that way, if you're in bed staring at the wall, you can allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling without judgment. Hey, Janae, nice to see you. Without thinking that you're a bad person because you're not getting up and getting on with your day and conquering the world and being all that. It's okay. So, hey, Carrie, good to see you. So the first thing that I do is that safe space. You become that safe space for your own emotions. Hey, Sophia, where you're non-judgmental even about your judgmentalism, when you're able to let yourself feel as long as you need to do it. And if you don't have a lot of time, sometimes we don't have a week or a month to go on retreat, or 2 months or half a year to go around the world and sort ourselves out. We don't have that time. But if you put that time in regularly every day, in order to feel whatever you're feeling, it does the same thing. It helps move that out of you. So the second thing that we do to find hope again after failure is we break the pain pattern. We do something that feels wonderful. It could be playing with essential oils and finding a great combination of grapefruit and vanilla, or eucalyptus and geranium. It's about finding something that smells good and listening to music, which is so powerful for the subconscious. We'll choose a station. We'll choose music that puts us in that state of mind, that breaks that pain cycle and that pattern interrupt. So if you're feeling, in pain and miserable because you're such a failure or everything has failed around you, do something pleasurable. Do something that feels good. So what we do when you come into my office is essential oil, talking to somebody you like, wonderful tea, essential oils that smell great, and are creative and wonderful combinations, body work that feels amazing, and music that feels good. We create an area, a space that interrupts all of that pain and all of that angst that you have, so that you can start to feel good again. Because when you get your needs met, when you get touch and smells and taste and comfort and friendship, when you get those things, your mind clears and you find clarity. Suddenly, those possibilities are open again and you can find hope. So the third thing that we do then is we get new ideas and new information. Einstein once said that we can't solve a problem in the same mindset from the same place as when the problem was created. So if we've failed, if we've crashed and burned, we have to get new information. It just means that with the information we have now, that we haven't been able to solve the problem. But when we start diving into video blogs and these live streams and books and YouTube videos and, talking to people who have wisdom and experience, when we start diving into things like that, suddenly our mind comes together and it begins to problem solve. It begins to find the answers and move you out of it. Because, people will say, well, you just need to believe, you just need to have hope and it's going to be fine. But when you feel terrible, when you feel like a failure and all of these emotions are coming up to be released, when you feel like you've screwed everything up, you can't have hope. You don't believe in hope. Hope has failed you a million times. I mean, you hoped with this one and it didn't turn out okay. In fact, it was an epic fail and now you're an epic failure. You can't find hope until you do these steps. And the steps are: be okay with what you're experiencing, get your needs met, a pattern interrupt of some sort that makes you feel good, that puts different thoughts into your head, and then start exploring and investigating new ideas and other people who've gone through this and situations they've been through. And you will find your hope again, and you will believe in hope again, because you'll discover that you aren't the first person that's gone through this. You aren't the first person who's ever felt like a failure. Every human being does. And so you'll start to realize there are ancestors and elders and generations and thousands of years of human beings having a human experience and having to overcome this sense of not being good enough, or that it'll never turn out, or being stuck and it's all your fault, and they've worked through this. They've gone through the failure and they've found success, and they've allowed themselves to fail and feel these things and process through and get to the other side. They've healed their families. They've achieved amazing things around the world with their businesses, with their friendships, with their life. They've healed their health. They've turned things around. They've fixed their kids and their spouses. And there's so many success stories throughout time. In fact, those are the majority. We focus on the failures, but we forget that it's failure. It's that epic fail and that moving of those feelings that gets us to a whole new plateau of being, of living, a new way of engaging with the world that will be more successful for you, that will take you where you want to go. So instead of bypassing everything, and saying, okay, I just need to have hope, I just need to be okay with this needs to be all right. Many times those feelings are too overwhelming and too deep, and we need to get you back from the edge. And the way you do that is be okay with who you are, do a pattern interrupt that makes you feel good, and start investigating other people who've gone through this and other ideas and new options you might have considered. And when you do that, you will find your hope again, and you will find your happy again, and you'll get back up on the horse, and you will find the algorithm, you will find the answer, the thing that moves you one step closer to where you want to be. Okay? So your homework assignment today is, if you have failed at something, or if you think you're going to fail at something, I want you to put these 3 steps in place, even if you're comfortable with failure. I want you to feel the failure. I want you to do a pattern interrupt that makes you feel good. And I want you to investigate a new solution. All right? So, homework for today. Now, I'd love it if you would like, love, share, comment. If you got value from this, please comment. Don't keep me a secret, because we're bringing this culture and this community together like a tribe so that we can at least be a positive space, a space of hope and kindness and compassion in this world that seems really filled with anger and hurt and negativity anymore. And people wanting to place their failures upon you so they don't have to feel it. And if you're sensitive and kind and loving, you're going to feel it, and you're going to take it on, and you're going to take responsibility for it, and you're going to end up feeling crazy because you're being bombarded by everybody else's anger and hurt and their own failures and their own emotions. Okay? So, you can do this. I'm behind you. It's going to be great. And have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you Monday. Bye.